Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another movie spoiler review. The final Halloween themed movie for the month that I'll be covering. But there's another review, but it's a comic book review I want to wrap up before the month ends. Uh, it's the remake, 2011 remake of Fright Night. There is an 1986 version that apparently there was. I never watched it. One of the characters who plays the villain, Jerry, makes a short cameo role in this remake, which I think is pretty cool. Um, yeah, man, I watched this a few times. It's a very cool vampire flick. Honestly, there's certain shots that was made here was very cool looking, and this kind of reminds me a little bit of the Shia LaBeouf movie Disturbia, which I think would be a cool movie to review for next Halloween, because it kind of reminds me of that because I only seen that one time on TNT, where a kid living next door to a psychopath, but no one believes him. Here it took it to a whole nother level where a kid lived next door to a literal vampire who uh uh is targeting people, which in a way is kind of freaking dumb because normally vampires wants to try to remain incognito and they don't want to use you shouldn't crap where you eat, you know what I mean? Utilizing, because it's very localized. This is set in Las Vegas, Nevada, in this desert, and this very I want to say I'll use remote in air quotes because it's kind of like a suburb, but it's just right off, from like several miles from Vegas itself. But even still, it's like you see from moments in the early in the film where people are missing, and it's like you don't think at some point that's going to lead them to you, because I think it'd probably be a little bit more. I get it, you want it to be want some kind of isolated stuff, but that's like it'll be ideal where you go somewhere else, leave, like you're in this pocket place, you're a vampire, the only one there, and you obviously want to feed. You go somewhere else, bring them, isolate them, keep them other people from you know drawing attention to you, and because it's Vegas, people are partying almost all the time there. So it wouldn't be too far fetched where people wouldn't be too you know, too busy looking towards you, directly. If you see like a girl partying like a big club and you bring them to your spot and you bring them down there, and then so you can feed or something like that, try to get in a way where it wouldn't be too easy for people to track where you are, because oh, a couple of neighbors are going missing, and people isolate places, is easy for people to point out, like, yeah, I remember this new guy here, and she was talking with him, and have people go questioning you and getting the police involved and stuff. It's way too easy. I think it was that part. I think it was part the dumbest part. Anyway, again, off track here. This movie, directed by Craig Gillespie. Oh my God, get this. The 1985 film was directed by Tom Holland, and not Spider-Man Tom Holland. There's this older gentleman, kind of looks like, Stephen King a little bit. Thomas Lee Holland. Wow. But anyway, it stars the late Anton Yelchin, who plays Charlie Brewster. He was, if you don't recall, he was one of the main characters in the Star Trek reboot. Back in like the mid to late 2000s. That passed away a few years ago in like a vehicle accident. You got Colin Farrell, who plays Jerry, which honestly, Colin Farrell plays an amazing villain. Very threatening in here. Because it's like, you got that mysterious bad boy shtick going on, and it's very easy for girls to get drawn into that. And he plays up that very well. Yeah, Christopher Mintz-Plasse as Edward Lee, or Evil Ed, he's called. But let's just face it. Like, every time I see this guy, the only thing I call him is McLovin. It's a joke name from a Superbad, I'm pretty sure. And it's like, I'm sorry, that name just stuck for a long time. I don't know why it stuck so well, but it just, every time I see you, all I see is McLovin. That is it. I know you got a real name, but you're just McLovin forever. Got David Tennant as Peter Vincent. Imogen Poots as Amy Peterson. Tony Collette as Jane Brewster. Got young Dave Franco here as a bully named Mark. Reed Ewing as Ben. Trying to remember, seen like Poots in anything before. She looks so familiar. I'm sorry, I had to take a quick look because it's like, because she was in V for Vendetta, a young girl. That was her first film, V for Vendetta. She was in 28 weeks later as Tammy Harris. She was in the 2014 Need for Speed movie. She was in Black Christmas. Yeah, she's been a bunch of stuff. I'm just naming stuff that I, heard of and or seen. Yeah, so she's like a very accomplished actress. Anyway, so we're following along on this a young kid, Charlie, who is like, the cool kid now, where previously he was part, as his younger years, he was probably into like nerd stuff, just crap that's called something else, was basically like D&D or cosplay, along with Ed and another kid named Adam. And eventually, when like they got older and got into high school, Charlie, start hanging out with the cool crowd, and got into a relationship with Amy, which to McLovin's chagrin, it's like, okay, what the hell? We was like the coolest, well, the coolest, but we were like we was like best friends as children, and now it's like, you just leaving me in the dust. Like, like all what we had, and like he sounds like a jilted lover in a way, and and like he points out, like, stop spazzing out, Jesus, like, it's not a big deal. Now, looking at this, you know, Charlie is wrong. The fact that it's kind of like when like a band, one of the band members gets more popular than the other bandmates, and you know, go off and do his own thing and tears up the friendship and everything like that. It's kind of akin to that. And of course, he's a young kid, and popularity, I guess, means something, but he's not into like a malicious way. It's just that, in his words, like, I grew up, I I just wanted to like explore other friendships and like grew out of the certain things. And while that is true, like certain people grow out of certain things that they used to do as kids, they don't do anymore. And like you make new friends, even though arguably a couple of his friends were kind of assholes, but he the mature thing to do, in which I say like both of these guys' parents should probably acknowledge and probably should have done something about. Whereas like, okay, don't forget where you come from. Like this guy, rocked with you as a kid, and like it's not like he blew him off, but he just stops hanging with him, or will be too he felt like obviously some level of shame hanging out with a guy who still appears as like their stereotypical nerd. And he was wrong just kind of leaving. It's like, yeah, he's my friend, I'm not gonna like abandon him. Like I can hang out with many types of people. You grow to understand that when you get older. It's like you grow, you become friends with many types of people. There's some people that I'm friends with that's into like anime and video games and comic books and stuff, and some people are into like not into that much of that kind of stuff, but like sports and into various types of things. Like you can have more than one friend who has different types of interests all over the place. But McLovin should understand that, like, friends grow out of things. Doesn't necessarily mean they stop being your friend, but you gotta like leave room for them to grow. And you can do the same. You can hold on, because he probably has some level of issue of growing a bit. He's stunted in a way. I'm not like I'm some kind of therapist or anything like that. It's just something I'm observing from the scenes I've seen these two interact in the beginning of the film. McLovin seems to be like trying to hold on to that childhood to like dear life. Like it's like like he's my friend. It's like you hanging out with these douchebags. And I kind of appreciate this because even though he was like your nerd, he's not those nerd. He's that backs down. He talks back and stands up for himself to Dave Franco's character. But it's just like, yeah, he's not wrong in the fact that you kind of like treat him like an outcast because other people are treating him like because it's just like those kind of social hierarchies in high school, and people don't realize that until it takes more of a bravery to like be one of the popular kids and like acknowledge the fact like, yeah, so what, he might be nerd to you, but he's still a cool dude to me, so I'm not gonna like mistreat him or anything like that. That'd be more of a shows to note to your character as a person by challenging the social norms of high school. So both of them had like obviously needed some understanding on both parts. But Ed brings up to which kind of like bribes him into investigating one of their old friends' house, because there's been like a rash of missing people lately, and you see that in the early points of the first act, and on news reports that a woman barely escaped from a guy who was about to bite her in the neck, which not sure nobody take that as a note that, oh, there's an issue here. But and it's kind of weird for like a vampire to go to Nevada, was probably one of the most sunniest parts of the US, given it's a freaking desert. But whatever. But it's not like, vampires, can't go to places that's known to be sunny. It's like it has to be night sometimes. But still, it's kind of like, but like, you probably should have want to, go to certain places that's like, not known for sunny areas like California, Nevada, Florida, some cases Texas. Very hot weather, very sunny weather. That's like, go areas that, you don't get much sunny days. Just my opinion. And so he threatens his friend like, hey, I'll show you pictures of us cosplaying and playing in the backyard back in the day if you don't help me investigate, our old friend's house. And of course, after school, we meet up with Jerry, this cool, handsome dude that lived next door to him and his mom. That's when you get a text from McLovin to go meet up at Adam's house. So they go in the house and they notice it was like empty. There's nobody home. And don't know if Jerry attacked the family. More than likely it did. So these two end up having a fight. After Charlie long since gone, Ed skateboards tend to skateboards home, but he ends up getting intercepted by I keep on just saying Dave Franco, but he has a name, Mark, who tries to beat him up because I guess he's like, it's a bully thing. It's territorial. I don't know if it's territorial, like, it's like, move on, like, just trying to like, intimidate him because like, these two have like a issue because like essentially they're fighting over like Charlie, I guess. But I wouldn't put it that far. It's just like, he's a cool kid now and he ain't got no business being around us anymore at all, kind of thing. McLovin manages to escape, but he ends up running into Jerry, who chases him down. But he ends up charming him into like, oh, you're not appreciated. Oh, you're ostracized. I can make you better. And then he succumbs to the wiles of Jerry. And they point out how stupid the name is, the vampire named Jerry. And it's like, what do you expect him to be named? Like, not everybody's gonna be named Vlad Tepes Dracula, okay? Nobody's gonna have like these old English names. They, names evolve, or at least they change it over time. And he probably did have like a very, of course, Colin Farrell's Irish. I'm pretty sure he has probably like an old Irish name, but right, change it up over the time, just to keep up like appearance and not lead people on. So now Charlie notices that Ed is now missing. Okay, now it's like, okay, things are getting weird for him now. And it's like, here's another thing. If you get like, you notice some people are like, yeah, sure, maybe like, people are, I don't know how many days it's been at the school, but it's like, maybe the first couple of days, maybe 3 days that, a student isn't showing up. After a certain point, it's a typical thing for the school to try to gain contact with the family home of one of the parents and seeing like, okay, is everything all right? Blase. and then eventually send somebody over in case there's no answer. You know, it's a little too easy, or at least you're kind of hand wavy over steps. I mean, at the very least, if Jerry ends up turning these kids parents too, have them like, you know, like, oh hey, like this is so and so's mom, everything's all right, you know, he's gonna be staying for us for at home for a while. It's, you know, bit of under the weather. Don't worry. Just to reassure the school so nobody raise suspicion, something like that. But nothing like that happened. That's like, you know, hey, like somebody will be like, you know, raising like, where is people been gone for quite a long time? What the hell happened? But you know, it's very brushed off kind of thing. Anyway, so Charlie goes to Ed's place, meets up the family. Don't know why the family, you know, acting so cool and nonchalant about the fact that, you know, did you notice your kid show up at home at all? Like they made a point like he was there, but he left early. But obviously didn't show back up. This is the only time we see the parents, and it's like, okay, you know, what's going on? Of like, you know, how do you explain what's going to happen to your kid? You know, Charlie's gonna have to at some point explain. But you don't see that. It's like, okay, your kid turned to the vampire. You're not gonna see him ever. Or at the very least, maybe it's the deleted scene where Ed shows up, kill his parents, or something like that. I don't know. But Charlie found some archive videos on Ed's computer where him and Adam for a while ago followed Jerry and videotaped him because they suspected he was a vampire. And then you see Charlie sees on the video that this dude has no reflection. Things are moving on their own where he should be. And Jerry already took notice of the fact that like he was already he knows he was being watched, that they was watching him, because these are stupid high school kids. They don't know how to be sneaky at all, and it takes quite a bit of effort even for probably the most experienced vampire hunter to like sneak up on a vampire. You gotta probably be at least quite a few feet from him just so you won't be in earshot of him, because he can sniff you out or hear you out very easily if you're close enough. They got senses of like a wolf or a tiger. You gotta be quite a few feet away from him just so you won't get found out. Because they can attack they can pounce on you very quickly. So now I don't know why like Ed didn't show him these videos. Why didn't you show your friend these videos? You just like, hey, just believe my word and just help me investigate, instead of showing him video of his next door neighbor not having a reflection so you can be easily believable instead of just relying on just your word alone. Why would you think your friend would just outright believe you? I have like, you know, quite a few great friends that more often than not I will believe them when they say certain things, because like, you know, they wouldn't just be abruptly lying to me just willy freaking nilly, but it would be conscientious of showing me some legitimate proof of like, hey Carl, look, I think my next door neighbor might be a vampire. And it's like, you know, I'll be slightly skeptical at first, even though I do personally believe vampires that freaking exist. But I'll be probably a little bit skeptical, but I will be more inclined to like, okay, can you show me some type of evidence to believe so I can believe this? Because then they're gonna show me their fangs out right if I ask them to. And if they show me some video footage of them no reflection, I'll be like, okay, yeah, this is freaking strange, we should do something about it, that kind of thing. Stupid kid. Anyway, so he goes home and he's, you know, now he's like very weary on going anywhere near Jerry now. And Jerry's, you know, it's like trying to get Charlie to invite him inside. He's doing everything he can to try to get him to cross the threshold, because you do not invite a vampire in your threshold because they're forbidden to do so unless invited. But there's a cool thing, because it's always stuck with me. This movie, it was, you know, it's very clever just to get around that little issue, because no other vampire film ever does anything like this. But he's like, oh, I got this, and you can see, like, you know, vampires are, you know, kind of dicks, but he's trying to, you know, like, it's like, oh, your father left you, didn't he? I had to talk with your mom earlier, so, you know, like, you know, I see, like, you also have, like, I'm asking for beer, because he got this, you know, girl coming over. That's like, you know, you get, you know, girls like that, you gotta, you know, manage them a bit, you know. I see you got a girl, Amy. Oh yeah, she's very ripe. And just saying certain things, you know, very crossing the line, rude as hell, and most likely normal circumstances get punched for that kind of crap. Like, you're in the manor house, that means you are you man enough to step up, kind of thing. So he hands dude the beer, like, you know, and not making sure he's not like let in. So now he's like, you know, run upstairs, his girlfriend there, and, you know, she's upset because he's not trying to get intimate with her. He's too busy watching Jerry. And that's where you just get the whole moments of like Disturbia in my mind about that movie. So she leaves, and he ends up nodding off because he was sitting there trying to watch the house. He nods off and he wakes up when he hears a scream. And so he ends up calling the police. They show up, and of course, Jerry makes a kind of like a comment about like, oh yeah, I had a girl over. She was screaming at her, if you know what I mean. But it's like, you know, you don't. Sorry, getting like a. Stupid messages. So, 1 second. So now, because why the police didn't bother to at least just go inside, inspect the place, although they would probably be getting slaughtered, but wouldn't be too bright to slaughter 2 police officers, knowing that they probably would have been notified that they are checking in on a disturbance at a particular spot, and you'll have more cops showing up wondering where the previous cops have been, because this is the last spot they should have been checked. But it would have been at least a good idea to show like, okay, we should walk inside and inspect the place, even though Jerry has secret compartments where he hides his victims and stuff like that. But the fact that you gotta at least show that these cops aren't stupid and just go inside, do proper protocol, and inspect the place. So they end up leaving, but Jerry then gets in his van and drives up, or pickup, and drives up for a bit. Charlie takes a moment, goes inside to investigate. He finds a secret room where the girl is, but Jerry shows up. He hides away in another little secret room that Jerry would use to hold other victims, and he witnesses him feeding on her. And as soon as Jerry leaves, he tries to sneak her out, and of course Jerry notices them like sneaking about, but he doesn't say anything. And as soon as he walks outside, it's daylight now, and the girl completely disintegrates because he turned her at this point, or she was in the thresholds of being turned anyway. So now, like, okay, like he's telling his mom he's, you know, he's covering his house windows with garlic and crucifixes, and whittling steaks now. And Mark and the other friend is parked outside, wondering what the hell is going on. And then Jerry shows up, kills these two. Well, kills one, turns Mark. So now Jerry's trying to get the mom to invite him in, because now Charlie, Amy, and the mom Jane is inside the house. And of course, he's trying to get the mom to invite him in, even to the point where, I'm gonna bring the authorities because I know your son was sneaking inside my house. And I love this moment between Charlie and his mom. He's pleading with her, please, I need you to trust me. Please do not let him inside this house, please. And it's like the moment, it's like the mom had to put in some trust into her kid, and it's like seeing like the seriousness of the nature. And she was like, well, you're gonna have to bring the cops in. And so this is where it comes, where it's like, since he cannot get the invite, he put some kind of like makeshift, he DIYs himself some kind of like grenade or something like that to cause the gas line of Charlie's house to blow up part of the house. And he makes a line, he says his line where it's like, don't need an invite if there's no house. And I was like, that always stuck with me. There's such an ingenious way that no other vampire type of movie kind of circumvents the rules, where it's like, yeah, you blow up the home, no house, no need for an invite. So now they all get inside Jane's car and haul ass. Now Jerry tries to go after them on Charlie's motorbike, but notice the front wheel is bent up to hell. So he's showing some freaking vampire like strength, as they're driving off. And this is where the cinematography really like is my favorite part, where it's like the camera holds on and it circles around, and you seeing like all like 360 dimensions here. And as they're driving away, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because these two ladies didn't believe Charlie when he says like, this guy's a freaking vampire and everything like that. And you see like the camera peers towards the back as Amy's looking back to see if like anybody's following us. Then the motorbike is tossed right at the back of the car, flung, and they have to kick the thing out. It's like, oh my god, what the hell's going on? And then of course, then it's like another 360 around, and Jane's like, oh my god, is that him? And then another turn, and you see like the pickup coming, and of course it gets more horsepower than Jane's vehicle, and it starts ramming into them. And then you see like another 360 as you see Jerry looking on the driver's seat as he's passing by, trying to cut them off, and then confront him. And Charlie's like, just gun it, mom. And he just plows right into him, and it's quick, and you blink and you miss it. Whereas like as soon as the collision hits, you see his vampire vision shows like a brief moment, showing that this thing is getting really amped up. And just like Steve Niles and Deadliest Warrior, and he points out about how vampires evolve. They evolve beyond just they theorize vampires today probably will evolve beyond than just the two front teeth. They will probably have rows of teeth because they're apex predators. They will have more sharp teeth than just the two front ones. And I'm glad this kind of symbolizes that from this film, where it's like a freaking like a tiger or a freaking shark, and it's like all these teeth with these vampires. That scene. And of course, turns out Jerry held on to the car and messed up the vehicle, causing them to stall. And of course, another passerby played by the actor who played the original Jerry in 1985, gets attacked by 2011 Jerry after he's trying to see what the hell's going on. And this gives Charlie a chance to, like, repel Jerry with a crucifix. And of course, the one where Jerry just grabs hold of the crucifix and it's burning in his hand. And while attempting to attack Charlie, the mom comes up from behind with a realtor sign that has a pointed end to it, where it sticks into the ground, stakes him, but misses his heart. And you see him, like, Jerry crawling around screeching like a wild animal. And they get in the car because Jane passed out. They had to run to the hospital. Now, after the collision, she has like a bruise on her head. So Charlie drives and bumps into Jerry's car, flipping it over him. Of course, he's healing, but it gives them time to, like, get away and get some kind of brief respite. So because I kind of skipped over this. After, seeing the severity of what's going on, after the girl blew up outside of Jerry's house, he goes to see Peter Vincent. Turns out he's some kind of vampire aficionado, kind of like a David Blaine thing, but doing like a play act of him vanquishing vampires and stuff on stage. But it turns out to be all fake and nonsense, but not necessarily. He's playing to like a particular role for the stage, but he's not a total sham where he actually does believe in this stuff. He actually has a bunch of items that fight off supernatural creatures. They even like a gun with silver bullets fighting off for werewolves. And you see like a goblet that's actually filled with like supposed holy water, when it actually is holy water. And Charlie's trying to proceed to him like, hey, I need your help. You know how to deal with this stuff. But Peter doesn't want anything part of it until he sees one of the images that Charlie took inside of Jerry's house. And as he later will call Charlie to go meet up with him, Charlie and Amy meets up with Vincent, and he points out that the images that Charlie took belongs to an ancient Mediterranean type of vampire who are kind of like cannibalistic tribal creatures. They take their prey and they feed on them for like days. He turns a few so he can replenish their numbers, but somebody like Jerry is like a very ancient being. It's very hard to kill. You probably need like almost like an army to take a nest like that down. So then Ed shows up, fully vampire. He kills Vincent's girlfriend. Vincent then like runs to his panic room, completely abandoning Amy and Charlie. So as Ed calls Jerry to know where they are, Charlie has to fight off his own friend, and he ultimately ends up staking him. And just the last moments of humanity, he tells Charlie like, it's okay, man, it's okay. Then of course he had this hilarious moment with Jerry and Amy where she tried to shoot him with silver, even though silver should still affect him, probably to a higher degree for werewolves, but still to the same degree to some level of to vampires. So he pulls out the bullets because it's still smoking, so it's kind of like it's still affecting him to a degree. But then she breaks open the case with a goblet full of holy water. And it's like, because he pulls out the bullets, he's like, werewolves. And she throws water to his face, vampires. And tosses like, oh. That always, I remember the trailer that had that little shot and it made me laugh. Of course, I didn't want to go to the theater because like I don't dig, you know, horror films like that. But you know, if I watch a horror film, I'd rather wait until it's on TV. So if I feel the need to, I'll fast forward because I'm a big chicken. I'm sue me. So they managed to get away and realize, okay, we got to, because he figures like, okay, I gotta deal with this nest. Peter ends up showing up with a wooden stake that's supposed to have been blessed by St. Michael himself. That if you stake the head vampire, then all the turned ones will go back to human. Because after they try to escape, Amy gets caught by Jerry, seduced, and then turned. And so it turns out Jerry was the one, because the only reason that Peter got involved in this whole vampire shtick in the first place, because when he was young, his parents was attacked by a vampire, which turns out to have been Jerry in the first place. And so now Peter has to confront the very thing that killed his parents. So now all the people that Jerry didn't kill and turned all start crawling out of their little because they're, you know, underground type of vampires, and they start coming out of their underground dirt caverns and try to feed off of Peter. But in an ensuing fight with Peter, Charlie, and the others, they blast holes into the ceiling because they're on the ground, but it's sunlight, because earlier Charlie breaks all the windows in the house that was blacked out so sunlight could come in. So now there's beams of sunlight peering through into the basement area, and so it offers some kind of level of protection. But taking an idea from what Peter pointed out about, like, you know, because trying to stick a vampire is very hard because you got to get up close, but it helps the fact that if you set a vampire on fire, then they too distracted to pay attention to anything else. So you realize that Charlie is wearing a flame retardant suit, so he covers completely up, wearing goggles and everything like that, and has Peter use his lighter to light him on fire because he's covering some kind of, like, you know, kind of gas or something like that. And so he lit himself on fire and attacks Jerry, hooks himself onto him. So now Jerry is, you know, covered in flames. Peter tosses Charlie a stake, stakes Jerry, and now that and Peter completely makes a giant hole in the ceiling. Now big beams of light are pouring in, destroys Jerry. All the surviving vampires are turned back to human, and the day is saved. Jane is out of the hospital. They, you know, selling the house and finding like a new place, while Charlie and Amy are getting intimate in Peter's penthouse. Don't know why you need to hook up in like a Peter's penthouse. It's kind of weird. I'm not loaning my penthouse to some for friends of mine so they can hook up. That's weird. No, find your own spot. But that's where the movie ends. There is the sequel that I don't know if it's direct to DVD type of sequel that came out a couple years later, but you got like a new cast that took over the roles from the previous actors and dealing with a whole new vampire in Romania while they're on like a college, you know, trip kind of thing. And it's the old infamous serial killer with Bram Stoker based a character on God, what's that woman's name? is I'm blanking on it. Hold on. Crap. Fright Night 2 New Blood 2013. Elizabeth Bathory, there it is. The supposed vampirist, a Hungarian woman. Yeah, infamous serial killer. Or alleged serial killer, but that's all intents and purposes. She's a freaking serial killer. And that is the main vampire that's, this same characters but different actors involved is dealing with next. But I don't know if that was received well at all. I don't have any kind of information on whether or not this did well or not. And it doesn't say. And you see like what kind of budget it had at all. Oh well. Anyway. But yeah, that was Fright Night 2011 movie. But yeah, like honestly, the best character out is, I like all the characters here, but I think Colin Farrell was like the biggest draw here. He did an amazing job as Jerry. He plays an amazing villain, and I love the whole nuances of how to circumvent the whole rules of the vampires and got around that. It's so brilliant. The only dumb thing is the fact that you utilize a secluded area as a hunting ground where it can easily get found out a lot sooner than going all the way to a city and bringing them to you, so that way you won't be found out as easily. But and the cinematography, especially during that whole car chase, was brilliantly done. That was my favorite part because it's just like a constant 360 turn up until Jerry disrupted their car altogether. It is very well shot. But anyway, I got one more review. This is the last movie review for the month of October, but I got one more comic book review for the month of October that I want to cover, which is Morbius, Living Vampire. I already did like the Morbius movie, but it wasn't part of the Halloween season, but it's up on the channel if you want to check it out. Which, speaking of, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this with your friends. Let me know what you think of Fright Night 2011. Did you see the original 1985, or did you check out Fright Night 2, the sequel, at all? If you did, let me know what you think of that one, because I haven't seen that. I haven't even seen like the original. This is the only one I actually seen, and this is one I think is probably best. And I doubt that the sequel will probably be any good, given the fact that it was directed DVD, so that's usually not a good sign. Usually. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes they turn to cult classics without you realizing. But yeah. Oh my god. The next batch of Halloween stuff will be already on the docket, so look forward to those next year. But yeah, I will, in a few days, I'll have the 5-issue Morbius comic ready to wrap up Halloween month. Then I'll be getting myself ready for Thanksgiving month for some family-oriented type of films. A couple of them actually, well, at least one actually is like Thanksgiving holiday centered, but the others are going to be kind of like family oriented type of films. So look forward to those. And yeah, I'll get back into some standard comic book reviews, like back to some X-Men related comics and the team based stuff, because I wrapped up the solo stuff before Halloween, before October started, which you can check out on the channel, all the solo X-Men member stories: Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Emma Frost, Magneto, Beast, Nightcrawler, etc. So check all those out. Anywho, I'll see y'all soon. I might pop in to play some more Spider-Man 2 later on tonight. But anyway, take care. Have a great night. If I don't see you, have a great weekend. Take care.